So, you'll be reading along, doing your thing, and every once in a while you'll see a bulleted list. You'll see something that reads a little differently and speaks with a different voice, usually a more informal voice. And so that's something that we do here when we talk about B'Tselem Elohim means that I'm created in the image of God. Does that mean I'm like God? Well, yes and no. Let's break out and talk about that in these bulleted lists. It's in color, it's vibrant, it speaks in a little bit of a different language, a different tone rather, and this will help you as the teacher create this variety in your classroom and to keep kids on their toes and hopping from one thing to another. Page 49. At the end of each chapter, we've got what's called a note of midot. Midot are Jewish values. These are the ways that we go about performing mitzvot in our lives. And we've got a little, very informal page at the end of each chapter that says, you know, it's good to be happy with what you got. Why is it happy? Because then you'll feel better about yourself. And here's an example why. And each chapter will end in that very quick, informal way with a note of midot. And if anyone has any comments or questions, please go ahead. Yes?
I have a lot of Asian kids in my class now because parents are adopting from Asia, but there's not a single kid from Asia.
Well, actually, there is. One thing that Behrman House has taken very seriously in the last couple of years is showing images of different races, and because we as a Jewish community are multi-faced, we're multifaceted, and there are children who are not all white and don't look alike. So in this book especially, this book doesn't have a lot of photographs, and I'll tell you what. Thank you very much.
57.
On page 98, there is an Asian child, a Latin American child. There's also another group of students where I actually went out of my way to find a photograph of kids that just didn't look Jewish, so it would help. On page 69. Because we wanted to, and I think if you look in our other books, for example, Rediscovering the Jewish Holidays, which is another book that has a lot of photographs, there are very few photographs that look like you would see in a textbook from the 1970s or even the 1980s, because we want to show the many faces of our students and have them see themselves in the book. Any other thoughts? Okay. Page 57. Throughout the book, we provide this feature called the Mensch Spotlight, which features famous Jewish people who were mentioned, and it tells why. Here's a good example because of the Olympics. This is Yael Arad, who was the first Olympic Israeli medal winner, and it talks about why she was a mensch, what she did to prepare, how as a result of her great self-respect, she was able to rise up and win a medal. And so the kids can see these heroes, these Jewish heroes, that they can look up to. Chapters also conclude with what we call the top 5, if you turn to page 95. So after they learn what the Jewish value is, where it comes from, what it means, here are 5 ways to implement it in your life. So in this chapter, we're talking about Hibuk Chaverim, this idea of our attachment to our friends and our respect for our friends in our class and our classmates. We say here are 5 ways to be a good friend. Be friendly, number 1. Number 2 on page 96, meet in the middle, compromise. Keep a secret, listen carefully. And then number 5, be grateful for your friends. And we include the Shehechianu. Here's an example of where we offer some Hebrew for the kids to read. And here's ways that you can be a good friend in your life. So it's very practical in that way. It's very hands-on. And kids constantly have an opportunity to think of ways that they can do things that is within their power to be a mensch in their everyday lives. Okay? And so, as where we were before, we flip forward. Flip forward to page 114 to our Mensch diploma. After we've learned all of our Jewish values, we synthesize them, we put it together, we take a step back, and we feel the sense of accomplishment that we've learned. Okay? And in the teacher's guide, you'll see that there's a lot you can do with the Mensch diploma in terms of having your kids feel that they are mentioned and that they've reached a certain level in their lives and in their understanding that now they can go out into their world and they can apply their knowledge and they can go out and be mentioned and take what they've learned and bring it to their real lives.